Okay, so I would like to bring it back to council now, and I think that the first question that we should discuss is whether we like this approach of doing the minor development first and try to tackle that and then go on to the other issues, or whether we want to wait and do the whole thing holistically.
I'm going to start with, we started this meeting with by talking about how many priorities we have and how much work we have on there. I'm sympathetic to all the great things Jack does, but I think we got to do it together because we got to make decisions when we can, and it's better to move on both. So I would think the third option is do both, but not wait.
Well, I mean, so do you want to have the discussion tonight then about the?
Well, I thought the implication was that if we did both, like was putting it off for a month. That I guess I'm voting not for that.
Well, it sounds like we're going to have to wait for the staff recommendation in terms of the major development. I mean, I think it's worthwhile we have some of these questions before us about the minor. If we want to try to reach some consensus about those tonight, we could decide that we want to wait to do the ordinance until we have all of the issues worked out. But, happy to hear from others too.
Well, I kind of thought that because I think Jack and Deanna are ready to go with the minor, that we can move forward with the minor. I know they would rather do them together, and I understand why, but if it's going to take longer and longer time to complete both, I would take Jack and Deanna's suggestion and move forward with phase one if that's feasible. I don't know if Jack and Deanna have any questions for us in regard to that or not.
So, obviously, we could come up with anything that you'd like. I have no objection to if you want to move forward with all of this. I would caution you on the redevelopment. I think that does need a little bit more thought. But the inspections, major development, the issue with major development, one of the negatives potentially is the impact on a municipal project. So we do a project where we're extending sidewalks or roads or whatever we're doing, that increases the cost of a municipal project. That's some of the things that we wanted to get a better handle on. That's the only reason we asked that to be deferred. Can we do it? Sure. I mean, it's not an issue. It's just we thought we wanted to give it a little time. But if you're not comfortable with that, we can do whatever you'd like.
It looks as if you're ready to move forward with the minor development. How realistic would it be to set a date by which you can come back to council with your recommendations for the major development, redevelopment, and inspection? Would April be appropriate time? May?
Or maybe take out the redevelopment if that's.
With the exception of redevelopment, the ordinance is already written. It's changing 1 acre to a half acre. So that's the actual ordinance itself is not really what the issue is writing the ordinance. It's what's the impact on a municipal project. If you doing Mary Moss Park, does that now require a detention basin because of you're disturbing more than an acre? I'm not sure if that's the case, but that would be a potential example. That was the only reason for that concern there. Could we research that and come up with something by April or May? Sure.
I guess I would support doing this in 2 stages, as you recommended. But I would like to see us set a date by which you come back with specific recommendations for the major, for the redevelopment, and the inspection, so that we can perhaps deal with this and get it on the books before the end of this year.
Mr. Miller?
Well, one thing I wasn't totally clear on, no, I'm losing my train of thought, but the major and the minor, what's the big difference between those? I mean, is it just the size?
It's the level of, for a major subdivision, you have to deal with quantity of water, quality of water. There's a lot of parameters that you have to deal with, rather than just saying, I have
Okay.
a hole in the ground that holds
Okay.
X amount of
Okay.
water.
And then for the, I didn't see where, so you are recommending that we make the exceptions for the neighbors? I wasn't hearing that, but some of the people were saying, oh, you shouldn't do that, but
I don't want to get down, I just want to deal with
But I-
this question first of like, do we want to deal with the minor developments separately from the rest tonight? Before we go into the details of the discussion, just so we can all be clear. So we're talking about what process we want to use. Do we want to do the minor first, or do we want to wait and do it holistically,
okay,
put
so,
all the pieces together?
okay, but just because we got this presentation, I just didn't, did you make the recommendation that there's exceptions for the neighbors?
Yes, and the reason for that was kind of following that table that was in the township ordinance.
Okay,
And again,
okay.
I understand where they're coming from and saying you shouldn't have that exemption. I have some thoughts on that, and I think I can work with them and come up with a solution there. The issue really becomes how much of an impact do you want to put up? You know, you're going to get to the point where the residents are going to start saying, I can't put a patio in because it costs too much because of the stormwater. That was part of the concern that staff had. Understanding what we're doing downstream to other towns and even in parts of Princeton, kind of looking at it from all angles, not just from the water issue, but what's the impact on the residents.
Okay, so to your question, I don't know that, does it really have an impact on the ultimate strength and of the ordinance and how beneficial it is for the environment if we do it in iterations? I mean, because, or should we, in other words, I was thinking, oh, this is a good suggestion because we can just do the relatively easy one, and then we'll do the harder ones. But we're hearing really strong objections to that approach. And so I'm fine with not doing it that way. If we want to wait and it'll take a little longer and do it all at once, I don't have any objection to doing that.
Ms. Butler?
Well, yes, I do feel as if our staff has given quite a bit of time to this. We have all given quite a bit of time to this. I think we are all supportive of the direction that we're trying to go. But staff has asked for a little, some consideration of time. And there isn't anything that we do in which engineering is not involved. And we have got a ton of stuff to do, tomorrow, right through the rest of the year. And so I feel like people are panicked that we're not going to do this if we don't do it all in one phase, but I just don't believe that's true. We're committed to this. I think we've all had extra meetings. We came to the meeting in January. But I actually think that there's some benefit to a two-step process, and that is the more that we talk about this, the more the word gets out to the public, and the more education. This is a process whereby we are going to have to educate the public about swales and, rain gardens and the things that they can do on their property to improve the water retention. So I'm not at all opposed if staff is asking for a little bit of extra time to, consider the major developments. And I think, Bernie's on the right track. Let's just set a date now. We can talk about the minors and then we'll talk about the major next.
Well, are there other issues that we need to talk about now? I mean, I think one of the big issues is the inspection issue. I mean, when I heard that, frankly, I was like, whoa, that's crazy to think that we were going to inspect every property every quarter. I mean, we would have to hire, obviously, you saw the budget and how tight it is. We'd have to hire, I don't know how many people. I think it would be probably get new software and, have a big system.
Yeah, I would recommend that we wait to have that discussion until we have all the research done on it, and that we focus our discussion tonight on what was presented to us and either we can decide we want to take action on that piece of it, or I would still recommend we have a discussion about it, so we give some direction to staff that they can either just put a pin in it until they do the rest of it, or come back to us with that piece of the ordinance. So, but I do want to keep focused on this minor development. Yeah, Mr. Quinn?
I'd like to see us do this all at once and give a little extra time. My concern with doing a piece of it is that we're going to see it sometimes, or we could see an increase in applications of people who are trying to get projects through so that they're not going to fall under the revised ordinance. So they're going to, if they're thinking about it, then we've created a lot more work and we haven't gained anything from an environmental standpoint. This happens in planning all the time. An ordinance comes up before council and all of a sudden everyone's rushing in with their crazy zigzag subdivision applications. So I think if we do this at once and we do it right, that we, in the long run, I think we'll save work. Of course, I say that, I'm not the one who has to do the work. But I think to me, that speaks in favor of doing it all at once. If we're talking about the difference between something in April and something in June, that doesn't seem like a whole lot of time.
Okay, so it sounds like I think I'm hearing that there's some consensus for waiting, but I would like to, since we've just had this presentation and it's fresh in our mind, to answer two of the questions that were posed to us that I heard. So the first one was this definition of impervious. And if you remember from the slide, the borough had a big long list of things that were considered impervious, and the township had a shorter list. And the staff is recommending that we use that longer list from the borough.
And add pools.
And what?
And add pools. I don't
Oh, and
think
add
there's, I
pools.
don't think there's any disagreement on that.
And I was just, okay, so there's
Yeah.
consensus on that. I just
Yeah.
wanted to get
Yeah.
affirmative consensus. And then the other question was, what should the trigger be for the minor? And so there was a recommendation that we go to 400 square feet, which was the tighter standard in the borough, but then there's also an even tighter standard being recommended by the PEC of 250. Is that? did I get that
That's
right?
correct.
Okay, and were there feelings from council on that, whether,
Well, I think 250 is just too low. I think that 400 is a even balance. I know the township at 500, so I think 400 is
I'm leaning to the 250, but I think that's the debate we can have when we bring the ordinance. I mean, is it not?
Yeah, that wouldn't be a problem. I mean, obviously, it's,
That's the discussion.
It's changing the number.
It's just
about
substitute.
3,000.
Well, I think, Jack, you mentioned about the
Bill consensus.
2-to-1 ratio is,
regardless of what square footage you use, I'm agreeing with the 2-to-1 ratio, whether it's 250, 400, 500, or any other number we come up with.
and then did the table make sense with the column A and then column B?
So EEC and Sony would like to eliminate column A. And I have some thoughts as to how to work that out, so we're not impacting the neighbors. I mean, but if, just knowing that you're increasing the cost of redeveloping a residential property, whether it's an addition or a new, that's the only concern I have, is that you're aware that you're increasing the cost of putting an addition on a house.
And it's a valid point, because ultimately what we're trying to do is prevent tear downs, and so actually, small renovations may prevent bigger tear downs. I mean, I think that's what I feel like I'm seeing in my neighborhood, is that, so that's attention.
And I've seen before, just in going door to door, we often have regulations that penalize the small homeowner who's like surrounded on both sides by enormous structures that are shadowing them, and yet they can't put in an air conditioner unit without going before the zoning board. And
This
so
would be a
I think
patio.
we just, yeah, I think we want to make sure that we're addressing the problem, but that to the degree that we can, I think there's this element of fairness that we want to get right, where someone's paying for it with this water. So either the person who's putting it on is paying for some of the stormwater retention, or somebody's paying for it downstream, but there's an existing built environment that's also creating a lot of the flooding that people have been able to build, so.
But, I think we have to start somewhere, and I think no matter what, that's gonna happen, because there are people who haven't had to adhere to this new rule, and so I kind of feel like whatever decision we make, it's going to hurt people who are putting on smaller additions unless we make the number smaller. So maybe that's an argument for saying the 250 rather than 400. I don't know. But, right, because I do think we have to, it's going to seem unfair, because in a perfect world, 20 years from now, the large house will have paid, will have done what they were supposed to do for the stormwater, so equally to, as the new person is doing.
We have agreements on the definitions. It sounds like there's some disagreement on what that trigger number should be, 250 versus 400.
It's more like indecision.
And then I'm also not sure about the columns, if people are comfortable with the columns, if it's more at 250, or people don't like the columns.
Jack, you can work it out. I mean, we prefer not to have.
Yeah,
I think at this point, I'll work with
Okay.
PEC and Stony Brook. I have some thoughts. We'll see what we can come back with. Like I said, hopefully we can come to an agreement on the inspections and on the major development, within the next month or two, and we'll come back with an ordinance for introduction. We can always talk about whether it's 250 or 400. That's not a,
We just debate that one
Yeah.
at the introduction. Jack, the formation of a utility that people might pay into for remediation, would that be part of the minor or major development?
that's one of the questions. I think it's meant to be for a minor development, so you're developing on a small lot, don't have room to put, or there's a lot of trees that you don't want to have to take down, that you would pay into this fund. We just want to have a clear idea of what that fund would be used for, not just necessarily, the issue is not saying, well, I'll replace an 18-inch pipe with a 24-inch pipe so the water goes away faster, because I'll have some calls from the guys behind me if we do that. But it's really, how do you mitigate that additional impervious coverage in the street, or...
Right, so we might not be able to mitigate it right in the street from the home where it's collected, but there might be some solution at some point down the road on a, public piece of property where.
And we want to have a handle on it. I mean, and again, in the immediate former borough, and, even a lot of the former townships, there is no available property to say we're going to put a detention basin, a regional detention basin. It may have to be something in the street. And there's not a lot of that being done, and it's expensive. I mean, I know there was a lot of concerns about your capital budget. So now that you start introducing this stuff, and I know you're trying to come up with a funding source, but we don't have all those answers yet.
Is there anything else that you need from us that would be helpful in terms of guidance?
Well, the big thing is the inspections, isn't it? I mean,
The debate about
well,
quarterly inspections or.
are we gonna, I wanted to know, is there, I've heard that a lot of this isn't worth anything if we don't do inspections. I thought inspections are crazy, but could we do what I'm curious about is there some middle ground, like every 2 years, you know, inspections? Because that seems better than nothing. Or having, is there some way that you use the honor system at least? Or something.
I thought that's what we had talked about, was sort of self-attestation, if somebody had to fill out something. So that would trigger, Jim shaking his head, that would trigger the sort of oh, I need to do it, like when I need to change the filters on my heating system or whatever, that there's some regularity that can be done that way, so that it's not a burden on it. There's no actual inspection burden, because that doesn't seem realistic to expect of staff.
Okay.
Right, so Jenny, you sort of, so that,
Yeah, that sounds-
fill out something, if it can be done electronically, where you certify that you had done your own inspection, that the bladder was still there and.
Right, okay,
Yeah.
okay, that sounds great.
So we'll work with Mike and Jim and PDC, and if we can come back with something within the next month or two, you know, we'll try to incorporate at least the major, minor, and inspections in one shot.
And is there anything else you need from us?
That'll do
would
it
be
for now.
helpful? Okay. All right, thank you. Okay,